I'll say amen to that. Now, Mr. Hmielewski, you were in the other theater. You were in the European
Joe, I went into the service right after Pearl Harbor. I went in February the 4th. There was 21 of us that went up to Church Street in New York, 21 Perth Amboy fellas that went up to join the Marines. And they took 20 of them. They wouldn't take me because I played football at November, and I busted one of the bones off here, and they fluoroscoped me, and they said, come back in a month, but I couldn't wait. On the way back, I went right into Newark, and I joined the Army. And I called my mother, and I said, Mom, I'm in, and, you know. But, yeah, then from there, we went to Fort Dix, and then Columbia, South Carolina, Fort Jackson, Army Air Base in Columbia. And then from there, we went to Camp Kilmer, and from Camp Kilmer, we were going to go in on the North African invasion. That was in November of '42. And the ship that we left Kilmer, went into Staten Island, and there was about 300 or 400 ships in the convoy. And I was on the I think it was George W. Goethals, the George Goethals. That was the name of the Liberty ship. There was about 2,200 of us, 30 nurses and cargo, staff cars and all. And it was great because we watched all the ships go out. We're up on the deck. And then we went down around 11 o'clock. And about 1 or 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, instead of the ship going like this, it went like this. So somebody went up topside. And lo and behold, we're all by ourselves. We couldn't see any of the ships around. It was pitch dark anyhow.
The rest of the convoy was
all
gone.
the rest of it, and we broke down. We were out about 350, 400 miles out in the Atlantic Ocean. I never particularly cared for the Navy, even though later I become the president of our Navy League in Perth Amboy. But everybody was nervous, you know,
yes,
and
well,
because the German subs are going up and down the coast.
Yes.
And I didn't want to die like a rat in a ship like this. So after we laid out there about 3 days, the captain got the engine going, one of the engines, the engineers did, and brought the ship around, and we started to come back towards Staten Island. And we were out about 50 miles, and he broke radio silence, and then the Coast Guard come out, and the Navy escorted us back in. So that was a dramatic experience. Let me tell you, it was, you know, I never want to go through that again. Out in November in the Atlantic Ocean, the waves went up on the top deck, and all you could see was waves on top of the ship going over the top of the ship. And during that escapade, we were eating jam sandwiches and peanut butter sandwiches, no heat, no nothing.
Ooh.
And over the loudspeaker was, this is your captain speaking. He said, I'm looking for volunteers to go down into the hole. Seems that some of the staff cars broke loose. And our deck was the 5th deck down, and the 6th one is down in a hole. And I never smoked, and some of the fellas, you know, were dying to smoke, but you couldn't because the fuel from the carburetor, even though they drained all the gas out of the cars, the fuel from the carburetors were there and the smell was there. So needless to say, nobody wanted to go down into that hole because you could hear the cars going boom, 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 boom. It was a dramatic experience.
Wow.
So we come home, and then 30 days later, we shipped out again, and we landed in Casablanca.
Oh.
So then from there, I went from North Africa to Marrakesh, right on up to Algiers, and over to Sicily, Sardinia, and Corsica. I was in Corsica for 7 months. We got attached to the Air Force, and we had medium bombers flying out of Corsica, bombing Germany out of there, yes, up to the other part of Italy. And then from there, he sent me home through Italy. I was in Italy for about 3 weeks. Come back on the Admiral Caps. And no, the United States. That was the United States liner that took us back, the United States. and we landed in Boston. And from there, they sent me back to Columbia, South Carolina. I stayed there 30 days. Then they shipped me to Seattle, Washington, troop train right across country. Went over to Okinawa. I was in Okinawa for about 8 months.
Okay,
Then the war.
and you two did not know each other
No,
yet at that time?
no.
Yeah, so you stayed in the European theater until VED?
Well, until the day war was over, I think it was April 15th, Pete, wasn't it? The war was over in Europe?
Europe was May 8th.
May 8th? Well, that was the day I was going up in the gangplank in Seattle, Washington. I'll never forget it. All you needed was 85 points to get out of service, and I had 115 already. And they're sending me to Okinawa.
Ooh.
So, but I guess they needed me. I was doing such a good job.
I'm sure of it. So you spent the remainder of the
In Okinawa.
of the time in Okinawa.
Meanwhile, can I say one more story?
Sure.
While I was in 30 days in Columbia, South Carolina, I picked up a little puppy, and this pup I took cross country on board the train, smuggled him on board this ship, and we were out a couple days, and then the Marines heard the dog barking, so they took the dog away from me and let the nurses take care of him. They had about 100 nurses on board, and I had this dog in Okinawa, and I smuggled him back home into Perth Amboy. I smuggled him all the way back home again.
Wow.
And I had this dog for about 12 years. Whippy, lovely dog, great dog.
Oh, that's a really cute story.
Cute
Wow.
pup, yeah.
And you didn't get in any trouble for having him?
Well, no, not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Okay.
Not
Fair
really.
enough. Okay. Well, we'll definitely have to have you guys back on later shows to talk about more experiences during the war. But now you're both active in the VFW.
Yeah.
Could you,
Yes.
And that's in Perth Amboy.
Perth Amboy, yeah.
All right, and that's the
Sergeant John B. Egan Post.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you tell us about your involvement there, when it started and
Well,
what you've done?
that started, our post started in 1921. My father was a charter member right after World War I. And then it became one of the biggest posts around in Middlesex County until World War II guys start coming in. And then I was commander in 52 and 53. That was the year my father passed away, because he had mustard gas from World War I. He was gassed. The Germans had mustard gas in World War I.
Yes.
My dad had this, and it ripped his heart apart, and he just passed away. If it was nowadays, you'd be able to do something about it, the way they have the heart procedures now. But I've always stayed active, and Pete's been active in our VFW post, very active. I was commander a couple of years ago, again.
Now, how long have you been in that post?
Well, for after World War II, I was not too active in too many veterans groups, but they kept us on a reserve. Then when the Korean War broke out, they recalled a lot of us fellas, see? So I went into B-29s at that time, and I was lucky again over there because the B-29s are propeller-driven aircraft, and they were sent up to MiG Alley to face the MiGs, a jet plane over there. So at the beginning of the war, they took quite a beating. But by the time I got over there, it was all night missions. So the worse the weather, the better I liked it. I used to fear bright moonlit nights, because then that's when the MiGs could get after you. And we used to fly right along the Yalu River, which was right next to Manchuria.
Yes.
And that was a heck of a situation, because the Chinese had sent all these soldiers in there, but we couldn't hit their airfields or block them any way. And that was where MacArthur was involved with Truman. I guess you all know the rest of that.
Sure.
So I just heard some inquiries from some people on the mission where we had 3 of our 9 airplanes shot down. And it just so happened I wasn't scheduled to go on that mission. While these guys were on a mission, I was in a club drinking beer, see? So sometimes you have pangs of conscience, but then you figure, well, that's the fortunes of war. So that's the way it turned out. So as it was, when we were flying those night missions, the casualties were quite low. So I finished up my tour of duty, and I just got home again, safe and sound, thank God.
Yes. Wow.
But they were very fascinating experiences, and World War II transformed our lives,
Yes.
just like it transformed the whole world. And I look back at it now, I'm amazed. You know, I said, gee whiz, here we fought a war on 2 fronts, and we won. And on top of that, we even won the Cold War. The communism collapsed.
Right.
And so we're number 1.
Well, I'll tell you, it's really been a pleasure talking with you gentlemen tonight. And as I said before, we'll definitely have to have you back. But I want to thank you. I want to thank Mr. Joseph Liccardo, Mr. Peter Book, Mr. Edmund Hmielewski, and all of the millions of men and women who have served their country, both in times of war and in times of peace. And I want to thank all of you viewers out there, and I want to wish you all the best. Take care, and God bless you.